live. We're here.
It's like the beginning of a silent film, but there was music there, so almost a silent
I
film.
know. That has become my favorite countdown.
It's a great.
Sorry.
Is that the one that you took some of the music from William and
Yeah, it wasn't the music, but it was. It's called Partners in Crime, and we used for Will Cannon, Billy,
got
and Elise Budell from their podcast, Killer Heart to Hearts.
love that one. So cool.
So welcome everybody. Welcome to our millions of fans out there. Me and my bro, Adam Zembruski with Hospiamo. There's Matt Zembruski with Agile Game Changers. We're here. We've been doing this now 16 weeks in a row.
Woo, Sweet 16.
Yeah, man. So this is so we might have some people popping in today, bro. The topic is pretty general. It's you and I have been doing this. We're just recapping our your world of agile leadership and management, and my world of hospitality and hotels. And then this week has come together quite nicely into a topic of right now in the hotel industry, it's budgeting season, and we call it budgeting season with affectionately, but it's a very long, drawn out period that starts around September, goes until even like late into December until things are finalized. And so the topic is so one, visit agilegamechangers.com, visit hospiamo.com. You can learn more about us and how to connect. But also, we started a nonprofit organization, 501c3, educational. We started a school. Okay. We're just going to say it. We started a school, and it's a hospitality. It's called Hospitality Industry Impact Initiative. Please come visit. It's just getting launched. It's called, go visit the site at hospitalityimpact.org. And so a lot of that work that's been going on for a couple of years now, right? And so a lot of that work, bro, and you and I have talked a lot about this, but so on the surface, we can say young people, right? We can just say younger people, or maybe inexperienced managers, or leaders that lack confidence, maybe because they don't have experience, or maybe they do have a barrier to employment that's they're concerned about. Maybe they got a criminal record, they got something going on that's concerning them.
Or people that just want to crack into the industry, right?
Or crack in the industry. That's right. And so we are. The topic is the idea of helping them, but helping them to articulate their thoughts and their voice in an effective and concise manner. I continue to struggle with that, but I have the confidence and I have the experience to be able to say, hey, we need to increase the budget here, or we need to ask for something that I know that we need and want, but somebody up there with the controls is saying we can't afford it, or maybe next year, or that kind of a thing. So I want to hear from you about your industry and your experience in that too, about just asking for what you want.
Yeah.
So I asked a couple of people. There's John St. Omer. So I asked John St. Omer to join us.
Or guest voice scores are the highest. It's good.
Listen to him bragging about his hotel.
So that's what I like. What I anything
Look at
else.
him.
All right.
Yeah, we need to keep those up. But yeah, that's.
I'm going to put him on. I think I can put him on mute, right?
Yeah. Well, tell him,
John, you're on. You're here, but on mute. He's doing a smart thing. He's probably got his hand over it. But so John, he's got a big hotel in Philadelphia. He's going through the budgeting season. I have a few hotels that I'm responsible for. I'm going through the same thing. We're coming from different perspectives. But the industry has many different perspectives. And so I visited our friend Chat GPT, and I asked a question. And there's Mr. John St. Omer gracing us with your presence today.
Good afternoon, gentlemen.
Good afternoon, John. How are you?
Oh, I'm wonderful. Life is good. Downtown Philly.
Just you.
That's right. You got the Mr. Franklin there behind you.
Oh yeah, you notice him?
Yeah.
Adam, I just almost said we when it came to the Eagles. I did say we on a call. Not a good sign.
Are they pulling you? Are they pulling you south?
Oh, they're trying to convert me. They're trying to
Yeah,
convert me. But take a
the
look.
Giants. Yeah.
My giant no.
John and I were working for the same company when we, the New England Patriots, played you in the famous helmet.
The helmet catch.
Yeah, the helmet catch. What 2008 or 9? Yeah,
Yeah.
that was tough.
I won't bring up that we took 2 of Tom Brady's Super Bowls from him. No, we won't bring that up, right?
No, don't
No.
bring that up.
No.
Okay.
No,
All right. Good. Let's go on to better things. Like
John,
like we
hey, Starbucks. Maybe they'll be a sponsor.
yeah, probably
Come on,
serve.
Starbucks.
Here we go.
Give us some of that app money.
Mhm.
Yeah, the topic, John, is budget season for all businesses right now. We're looking at 2024, but really I'd love to hear what your thoughts are, because the topic is the audience are people that are wanting to break into the industry. They might be new. They might not have been a manager before. They might be a supervisor wanting to be a manager. And or they might be an existing manager and they just don't have the confidence to know what to they know what to ask for. So the example is, if they're they're budgeting for their hotel or they're budgeting for their business, and they're responsible for creating the budget for next year, the forecast, the revenue, the expenses, and all of that. And let's say you got 50 employees, and the topic is how to get what you want, right? And if there's an increase to a budget line item, using that example, how to get what you want when you know it's right, and you're kind of screaming alone in your office, and because I've done this, you probably have too. It's like, why can't I just get this line item to go from $0 to $1,000 a month? It's not going to. The impact is huge. I can use the money. So I'm going to show the screen. I asked an AI engine, Chat GPT, and I'll bring it up here real quick, and then I want to know what you think, John. So here it is. I said, I want to add $1,000 a month to my hotel's expense budget for training and development, but my boss says there's no room for it. What are my options to convince him that it's needed? So affectionately, they said, we're convincing your boss, blah, 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 training and development, well-prepared proposal, communication, persuasive communication. So it goes down all these benefits, right? I mean, it's artificial intelligence, but it is somewhat intelligent. We'll see how. So identify the benefits, demonstrate the return on investment, prioritize training needs, create a detailed proposal, show long-term benefits, benchmark with competitors. Okay, offer a trial period, involve employees, highlight industry trends, anticipate objections, schedule a meeting, be flexible. So, I mean, that's a lot. I mean, you don't have to do that for $1,000, but
Yeah.
but did anything pop out here at you? Have you been in this position on either side, John?
Yes, but the first thing you got to always look at is the customer's needs. What are they looking for? And it comes down to, again, service. And without training, service lacks. We're in an environment that we're just coming out of a pandemic, whereas for a good while, there was what I call the employee revolution, whereas for a good number of months, I'd say almost a year and a change, They were calling the shots. Everyone struggled for associates. Everyone was pirating from each other. And what happened? We had a whole lot of unskilled people and did not put enough into training. Training has to be a big piece of any owner looking at, say, the guest surveys. You can easily identify that.
Yeah, so that's if somebody's an owner, you know, they're looking at numbers. You know, they want an ROI. If I'm going to spend $1,000 on training, what's the result? And you're training new people that are unskilled and that are untrained, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so the cost, I mean, if there's a financial benefit, you're talking about they're going to stay longer, right? There's a lower cost of turnover for that role.
Well, you're creating an atmosphere where one feels valuable because you're now investing in them, right? So the more you invest in an associate, the associate then, I wouldn't say build loyalty. You're building loyalty, but what you're building is a good understanding that we have your best interest at heart.
Yeah, no, that's huge.
It's the biggest part of it, because everybody, it's sad when an associate leave you because you're paying them $20 and somebody else is paying them $21.
Yeah.
If you're a good leader, they're not going to leave for $1.
No, especially
right?
A leader with a training budget.
Exactly.
Yeah.
They won't
leave.
And the more we stay away from not training, the more we spend.
Mm-hmm. Explain that, John. Explain that. What are the costs associated with lack of training?
You're being penny wise, pound foolish, because all you're gonna do is have a turnstile.
Meaning,
I think the stat, bro, is like a salaried manager turning over salaried manager at a hotel is close to 100% of their annual salary. That's the cost.
That's the cost.
So turning over if a general manager is making $100,000 and you turn that person over every year, it's at a cost of $100,000 to your profitability.
So that's the attrition or lack of retention for the employees.
Yeah. So here's a caveat: you lose a GM, right? You have to probably recruit real hard to find that right person. And by the time you find that person, and again, getting them all with the brands, especially getting them acclimated with the brand, or so on and so forth. Or here it's this: you lose that GM, and you have to pay more for the next GM.
Yeah.
And also local relationships, right? I mean, if they get someone you leave Philadelphia and they get someone to come in from Omaha, Nebraska, they might be highly trained and highly capable, but never been to Philadelphia before. They got to make new relationships. Employment,
and takes time to build that.
Yeah. It all goes into that cost.
Then it comes at a cost. So again, hire, train, and retain.
John, how is it so a young person, and I think I probably even used these words as a younger manager. It's the cost of not doing it, right? So there's a cost to, let's say, training, right? And this is saying, I want to spend $12,000 a year. It's going to average out to $1,000 more than what we spent last year. So there's a cost to that. But then there's the cost of not doing it. You've said on a previous episode that you've learned a lot, probably more, I think you said, from what not
bad
to
management.
do.
Yeah.
Bad management. Right.
Yeah. Bad leaders.
Yeah. Bad leaders. You learn so much. And so we also learn in our industry, and so do leaders and owners, that one of the cost of not doing it and not training and retaining is the potential for emergencies and disasters and tragedies such as fires. So, and the deterioration of safety mechanisms and security. And you're at a Marriott, and we trained with Marriott, and Matt, Mr. Marriott was famous for saying you manage by walking around.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he said that, and it's in all the trainings. And you talk to your employees and your associates. You walk around the building on the exterior, and you start noticing things. And if that's not happening, then that is a cost of not training and not engaging your team. Because if there's a turnover of somebody in John's role, such as a general manager of a large hotel, John, you probably have 20 other managers and supervisors. Let's say you got 20. They're all
Mm-hmm.
looking up to John, walking around with him. And if John leaves, then maybe the one that comes in, maybe he's learning a new role, and he's not walking around as much. And then you start to lose the engagement and the training for the people that were. I mean, I can say this as a compliment to John, because I love him and I've worked with him, and just with John in a room is training people, right? He's training me right now just by speaking, right? I mean, it's he's infectious with the education and the learning. And so, John, how does a manager articulate that? Like, let's say the answer is no. Like, sorry, we just don't have it in the expense budget to add any more for training and development. And the question is, well, not the question, but let me tell you what the cost of not doing it looks like. And he or she could say just what I said. I need to spend a little bit of money on certifications. I need to get a professional trainer in here that's going to cost a little bit of money every month, because I don't have the time to do it or something like that.
How is
Any
it?
advice for younger
How are you
managers
going
what to say?
Yeah, but how can you the only way you can quantify good health is through the results of return business. So your repeat business can easily quantify that. If you're struggling, right? There's two ways of being successful. You gotta go out and find them. And when you find them, you gotta do what? You gotta keep them.
Yeah.
And if you're not accomplishing that, then you gotta look within and say, hey, where are we? What is missing from this? Right? And a lot of the times in our industry, because our guests have so much choices, is that service piece is missing.
Yeah. So it will affect the top line revenue of guests coming in and choosing your hotel over another. And so there's
Exactly.
the cost of revenue, the cost of higher expense with turnover. Matt, do you have any examples in your in recent or otherwise in your history of, call it, software development or systems and agile management and leadership?
Yeah, I do. But before I comment on that, I want to ask John, how do you track that? How do you track repeat business? So do you know, like, when my voice is a little off, but when Adam Zembruski comes to your hotel, and then next week you have full occupancy, and Adam Zembruski again is at your hotel, do you know that he stayed with you 10 times that year? Or like, is that one of the metrics that you track?
Well, the brand has made it easier for us. If you're with a brand, they're tracked. You got reward programs, and people are loyal to their points.
It's all
And they
surveys,
just
Matt.
yeah,
Sorry, I asked you to speak. Matt mentioned that he lost his voice, and I just
That's
asked you
okay.
a
No, it's
question.
good. I'm
You're
very
good?
curious
Okay.
about it. So do the reward programs, do like Marriott at a umbrella level? Do they give you and all the other Marriott properties in your area, if you're managing a Marriott property, Do they give you the okay, well, Adam Zembruski came back, and Adam Zembruski stayed in your city 10 times this year, 5 times at your Marriott, and 5 times at other Marriotts, right? Do you get those numbers? I'm just curious.
No, you can track your own repeat guests.
So you're tracking your own repeat guests.
You can track your own repeat guests.
They'll know if I'm like a platinum member, and they'll know that I'm very loyal to Marriott, or like a but he can look up locally too.
Yes.
Yeah, it's all those surveys, Matt. The you get a survey every time or an option to complete a survey. Every time you stay at a hotel with a brand attached or some sort of survey mechanism. There's a lot of tracking, but the John, what is the name of it? The question is, what is the likelihood for you to return to this particular hotel?
Intent to no, the biggest part is intent to recommend.
That's right.
Okay.
Because if you're willing to recommend, that means you are willing to stay too.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's the big piece.
So the survey is where you get a lot of data from. The surveys you get.
Yes.
And I'll bet with the the fear, not a fear, but the all the talk about AI and kiosks at hotels and reducing the touch. COVID happened and the pandemic and everything, and so everyone had to be 6 feet apart and plexiglass in front of everybody, and so I guess maybe just numbers wise, the way that efficiency works, maybe over the next 15 years there will be less number of human beings at hotels. Let's say that happens. Okay. I'm not advocating for that, but if it does happen, that means there's less of a chance for an interaction between a guest and a human. And so what I am convinced about is that I don't think anyone's going to say, I'm going to recommend that hotel because the kiosk was very friendly to me.
I am so happy you said that.
What do you think about that?
Listen, Adam, years ago, Element tried that. They were the first brand property to try the kiosk check-in.
Element?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And people, listen, you're traveling all day. And you're in a airport. And airports are not our best friends right now, right? If I got to travel, I'm taking the first flights every time. I'm not waiting until in the afternoon to start getting cancellations, right? And you finally get there. Do you want to walk up to a kiosk and get your key?
There's a pretty high chance of something going wrong, so I just go to a human, right?
Yeah. You really want you really want to hear somebody say, "Hey, welcome back, Mrs. Zembruski.
Yeah.
Good to have you back. We've been waiting
Makes
for
me feel
you." Right?
safe. It makes me feel safe.
Exactly.
Yeah.
In our business, the human touches are never going to go away. A lot of people will try it. There's a certain set that will love it, but the majority of people want to talk to the John St. Omers of the world at the front desk.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, they want to see the John St. Omers walking around. That makes them feel good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, it goes back again to training. Who are you going to vet to put at your front desk? Who are you going to vet to just be a housekeeper? And when I read the surveys and I see a housekeeper mentioned and how friendly a housekeeper, that brings joy to my heart. Right?
Yeah, that's nice. That means they're seeing their name tag.
And interacting with the guests.
Yeah.
So a lot of times, we need to vet properly. I do believe if someone doesn't smile in an interview, they're not the right people for a hospitality business.
Yeah.
So why are we forcing them into it? Just because we need a body, right? We need to stop that.
And that's what happened after the pandemic, you're saying. We
That's
had
what
so
happened
many people
after
that
the
were just warm
pandemic.
bodies, right?
And we were looking for bodies and putting whoever we could. And it backfired on a lot of us.
Mm,
You know,
yeah.
you got to get back to the basic. What is hospitality? Hospitality is a friendly face,
Yep.
right?
Mm, yep.
And that's where you win.
I read somebody asked me, so John, you know that we've been working on this nonprofit. We're starting to do a little promoting of it called hospitalityimpact.org. And so we've been doing studying and some research, market research, and who we're going to engage. And so the statistic, somebody asked, why do I read so much about hotels in this? Because hospitality is more than just hotels. And I said, absolutely it is. It's the service business, first of all. I mean, it could be going to a concert or it could be eating at a restaurant. But the reason why, this is how I answered it in probably about 45 minutes, but I'll say it in one sentence. The reason why the focus is around hotels is because of the length of stay that the person comes in and is enjoying or occupying that space. And that average length of stay for a restaurant is 85 minutes. The average length of stay for a concert or an event is 3 to 4 hours. The average length of stay for a retail store or even Starbucks is something like 17 minutes. The average length of stay is 43 hours at a hotel. And so if we think about it in that way, and the amount of responsibility that has for people like you, John, and for people that work at a hotel, you're taking care of somebody not for in and out for serving a meal, and it's out of respect, of course, and love for serving food. It doesn't mean that they're any less responsible for serving somebody's food, but the amount of time that person is there for 43 hours, potentially, most likely with more than just that person, maybe with a family, the responsibility is huge. It's not just about serving, making sure that they had a good meal and that they're full and that it tasted good and that the experience was good. It's about making sure that what if something goes wrong? Well,
Hmm.
there's a higher chance of something going wrong if you're somewhere, anywhere for 43 hours versus 2. It's just the way the numbers work. And so the I hope that the people that are coming into the industry, specifically the hotel industry, understand that, right? That the pandemic happened, we needed warm bodies. Um, the question about that is, if I think about that as a question, John, the pandemic was what, now, God, 3.5 years ago, I guess, when that all started.
Hmm.
So is there a higher percentage of people that are being attracted to the hotel industry versus maybe even a year ago?
I would say yes, because our industry is one of the only industries you have vice presidents that never went to college.
Yep.
Yeah.
You know,
Yep.
you have
A
leaders
lot.
that got to their positions. You're able to grow in this industry by doing the work,
Mm.
by being uh, setting a good example.
Yeah, and that's rewarded. You're right.
Yes.
And it's and also I think I'm going to say something and you tell me if you think it's true or not. I think over time, over the past 20 years or so, the time that it takes for someone to start in the industry and then become a manager and then become a manager with a generally above average salary, that time that it takes is shortened.
Oh,
That can
definitely.
happen a lot faster, right? I mean,
Within back in the day, probably take 3 to 5 years.
yeah, at least.
I, a good associate within a year or two can be at another level.
That's so good. It's so cool. And you don't need this. It's always great to have formal education, but it's not weighing heavily on
It's
them
not
that, oh, I got to
mandatory.
go get a 2-year or 4-year degree. Maybe they do that while they're working or something. It's very flexible,
Yeah,
right?
it's
Yeah.
not that mandatory.
Mm-hmm.
And
You
if you
know,
have a choice, like if somebody's 18 coming out of high school and they're not sure if they want to go to college or what they want to do for a trade or whatever, and they're considering hospitality, if they're going to invest in education, you guys are talking about training. Why not do the training in hospitality to get in and accelerate your career? Similar like what you did, bro, when you were in college and then you converted into hotel. You didn't
Yep.
need the degree to succeed quickly. You needed training and you needed experience. And what you and John are talking about right now is a really key thing for especially people who are new to the industry, whether you're 18 or 80. If you're new to the industry, you want to get in, your educational credentials are not going to be a barrier to entry. It's more of, are you hungry? Do you want to get in and be passionate to learn? Start to plug into training, right? And start going,
exactly,
right? So that's
exactly.
fantastic. That speaks volumes to the people who are outside the industry that know there's a workforce that want more work. There's a lot of people right now that are thinking about shifting careers. And
And a lot of them have shifted, Matt, shifted to the hotel industry. Some
yeah,
of them have gone out though, because that's where the room came.
yeah, it's fantastic.
Here,
Matt, you just mentioned the 18 to 80, but even the statistics show that not because of the pandemic, but just people are working much later in their life.
Yeah.
They're living to 105 years old. They're not retiring at 65 anymore. They're retiring at
nah.
75. And so some of them have nothing to do with the hotel industry, but they might have a lot to do with the building industry. And all a hotel is a building, right?
Yeah.
You got repairs, you got HVAC units, you got carpets and tile, and you got everything. You got toilets. You got a lot of
Yeah.
toilets.
Yeah.
Uh, or even the residential house business construction. If there is hey, Bruce Jordan, I agree 100%. Due to the staffing shortages and high turnover, they are getting promoted a lot faster. Good. I'll give a shout out to Bruce. I don't know him personally, Bruce. I've never met you personally, but man, he's got a cool podcast out there. I love what he's doing. He's coming from the field. He very clearly is an operator in the field property level. And Bruce, I love your stuff, man. So you should come on to the show sometime. Please.
Thanks, Bruce.
Our millions of fans. He's
So
got a lot more fans than we do. He's much better.
here's
Go ahead.
another person. All right. So here's this. You're in a restaurant. Mediocre meal. It's okay. It's not bad. You'll have a server who's not very engaging, make you feel like you don't want, they don't really care whether or not you come back, yes or no. Okay. That meal just became totally the worst meal ever, right?
Mm.
Same meal. You have a very engaging server who just makes the ambiance, the atmosphere just really cool, entertaining. That same meal becomes not mediocre, but a decent meal. And you may want to give it another shot, right?
Yeah. Yeah, that's right. You want to come back.
You want to
Another
come back.
good example is my first general manager job was at an airport hotel. And
The worst.
John, you've been at airport hotels.
The worst.
And so, you got van drivers that are needed to come in at 4:30 in the morning and work all 24 hours. I could not find a really great van driver. I always ended up having to wake up and drive the van. And it made guests not want to return because just for 6 months straight, it was just a blank show. I mean, we could not get it right. It was the first time I was a manager or a GM. But then fast forward to a hotel that I'm currently affiliated with, and I'll give them a shout out. They have a van. It's the Irish Cottage Inn and Suites up in Galena, Illinois. If you're ever in the Chicago area, please go visit them. I invited one of their members to be on this show, Matt, sometime, because they just have a great attitude. Well, go onto their TripAdvisor, and I would say 2 out of, or maybe 50% of their comments are all about Brian the van driver.
Mm.
And they love Brian. And so it does remind me from 20 plus years ago. I was like, I wish I had Brian 20 years ago for that. I would have been able to get more people to recommend the hotel. I wouldn't have to be woken up at 3:00 in the morning every day to, the van driver called out, we can't find somebody. So, these, John, you mentioned the server at a restaurant. So the guest facing frontline employee or associate or even manager is so impactful to the business success based on what you just said. Because who cares if it's Adam driving the van? Who cares if it's somebody else? But if they're in the van and they need to go to the airport and get there on time, they're going to remember that person. And if the van gets them there on time and the person is very friendly, they're going to remember that, right? And that's where that intent to recommend comes in, I would assume.
So hear this.
Yeah.
I'm the van driver. I'm picking you up at the hotel. All right. You're already stressed out. You feel like you're going to miss your flight, so on and so forth, right? Do I pick you up? Don't have a conversation with you to kind of ease your mind to go into your flight, or I just pick you up, throw your bags in the back. What airline are you going? That's the only conversation we have.
Mm.
Or picking you up from the airport. The hotel experience starts there. So
Good point.
are you gonna find that gentleman that you're talking about and have him, or are you gonna find someone who couldn't care less, who drives erratic, and just make the whole experience, you can't wait to get out of the van?
So how do you keep those employees? Say Brian's at your one of your properties there, John. Like Brian works, say, for you, and highly recommended. How do you better engage with that employee so you can keep him retained for many years to come? Is that a discussion that you have with him as like, hey, I guess I'll leave it up to you. How do you engage with the employees to increase retention?
Simply say good morning to him every single morning. How's your family? How you doing? People need to be recognized. People don't work for companies anymore. People work for the person they report to. Treat them right. Simple.
Sit down with them once in a while, have lunch.
Have lunch.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's good.
Are you going to trade my experience for $1? Meaning sitting with me, being able to have, you can walk into my office, you can talk to me, whether it's about the job or something personal.
Yeah.
We got a comment here from the star of episode number 6, I think, Mike White from University of Connecticut. He's the executive director of dining services, right? Thanks, Mike. So Michael says, Google Yukon Soup Dupe. He is one of our kitchen assistants who has a massive following on campus. all about his positive attitude and outgoing approach with our students year after year. His nickname is Soup Dupe. That is awesome. And year
Yeah,
after year.
I
So
included the link too later, so
and
people.
there's a link too. So Soup Dupe wants to make UConn feel like home. Wow, we are going to check that out, Mike. Thank you. That's awesome.
So
You know the power of that. What's that, John?
the number one person mentioned in the survey in this hotel is a valet.
Hmm.
Nice.
He's
It starts there.
he's the first and the last person. Yeah, in a hotel like this, we used to say, "Oh, the front desk person last," right? But when you have like valet service, the first and the last person is now the valet driver, right? And if they start that experience on a bad note, everything is a domino effect.
Yeah.
And we
How long's he been with your property, John?
who that person?
The valet, yeah.
Probably about he's here now about 3 years. But
Right.
this hotel that I'm at have about over 40 employees, 25 years or more.
Wow.
Wow.
I have associates here 38 years.
Woo!
Oh,
Must
Talk about walking into a gold mine.
yeah, a family. A family.
Exactly.
Yeah. Wow.
So
And
am
you're
I going to come in and be the odd guy out? No.
new rules.
New
Yeah.
rules. Oh,
Everywhere.
you got to do such so and so. This is embrace the
Mm,
culture,
yeah.
enhance the culture.
Yeah.
Good leaders don't have to say they're leaders. Just
Mm,
lead.
yeah.
I don't have to keep saying I'm the GM. If I got to keep saying I'm the GM, I'm not the GM. Right? Yep.
Nice point. The Matt, I'm putting you on the spot to speak more with your losing your
Yeah.
voice, but I'll never forget when I mean, maybe we're talking 15, 20 years ago, you went to Japan. And I remember, I'm annoying. I always ask my family about their hotel stays, no matter where they go, to give me a review. But you spoke, and the example that you gave me was many, and you said it was just a different atmosphere there, and you gave me the example of you walking through the hallway, and somebody, like every employee or housekeeper or whomever it is, they stopped, looked up at you, and just acknowledged you walking by, and then went back to work as you walked by.
And
Am I
help.
getting that right?
Yeah, it's funny. I still remember the experience walking in the first time, again as a English speaking American in Tokyo, Japan, where most of it's non-English speaking. And I walked into and I forget the hotel property what it was, but it was an international hotel, and just walking in the door because I'm a stranger in a strange land. I can't read any of the signs on the streets. I finally get in, open the door to the hotel. Someone opens the door for me, and literally, it was like I was Tom Cruise coming off a movie set. Everybody centered their attention on me. Somebody immediately, and I'm a whatever I was, 30 years old, able-bodied, fit person rolling in my little bag. One of the people came over and said, "May I help you with your bag, please?" And really wanted to take my bag, the 50 feet up to the counter. So I let them do that, and we walked up to the counter. They walked up with me together to the counter, made sure I know where to go, and they escorted me the entire way to my room, to everything, made sure everything was fantastic, all the way down to when I called for to order food because I didn't know what to order there. Everything was different food and different language, and I was a picky eater at the time. And I remember calling down to on the phone for room service. I said, "Hey, I want to get breakfast.
Yeah, Jared no told me to come here and find out.
What can I do for breakfast?" and they were very good in answering. Okay, you just want some eggs and you want some toast. Okay, great. Boom, boom. They made it very easy without any, as if a language barrier wasn't even there, bro. But the
Yeah.
service level was so high, and I don't know if that's because of the country or because of the brand or because of the management of that place. I'm sure part of it was due to the Japanese culture and their attention to detail and their respect for guests. But anyway, it was an amazing experience.
Yeah, I think you just said culture, right? So uh every hotel has its own culture, right? Every restaurant has its own culture. Every workplace has its own culture, and every city has its own culture, right? So John's
Yeah.
in Philadelphia, I'm in Charlotte, you're in the Boston area. You know, New England has its own culture, the South culture, and you were in Japan, Tokyo culture, and the thing that always kind of stays on my head is about what John was just talking about is, okay, so you experienced something inside of a culture and you loved it, and we're still talking about it today. Um, and then John's talking about his the valet that's getting all the really great reviews at his hotel, and so the leader's responsibility, or maybe the question is, that's great that that person is serving you well and giving you a great experience that makes you want to return and tell other people about it. But who's serving that person,
Good question.
right? To
So
John's point, who's walking in every day to be like, "Hey, how you doing? I noticed you have a limp or something. You okay? Like, you
yeah,
want to go sit down in my office for a little while?" Who's serving that? Who's serving the servers?
yep.
It's a good question.
And who's celebrating them? You know, we're
Celebrating.
so quick to find faults. Uh,
Yeah.
look for what's good and build on what's good. There's so many opportunities for us to get better. And we can't get better by just thinking we know it all. Go back to the basic. Find out from him, hey, we're having an issue with the parking. I don't want to sit in my office with everybody who's not parking cars and come up with an idea. How about
Mm.
sitting with the guys who's parking the damn car? Oops, who's parking the car?
Yeah.
You know?
It's funny, it's like baseball too. You can make it into the Hall of Fame and be one of the best baseball players ever if you hit 300 or you get a hit 3 out of every 10 times.
10
We don't
times.
say that. He only failed 7 out of 10 times when he went up to bat. It's like, no, that doesn't make it into the Hall of Fame speech.
Yeah. Yeah, listen, I grew up in an environment where um, I love the hospitality business. I'm from an island that it was our number one, it was our staple when I grew up. I fell in love with the hospitality business because I like to see people enjoy themselves. Now, although I'm not running a resort, I got to find ways to make people enjoy themselves. All right.
More difficult to do that.
Yes, it's more difficult, but it's feasible.
Mm-hmm.
But you can't let them. You got to invest in the associates, and investing in the associates is really it's a time consuming effort, but it's rewarding.
Mm-hmm.
You know, um,
It is rewarding, and if you're thinking about, to be selfish for a minute, it makes your job easier, doesn't it, John?
oh yeah,
Yeah.
oh oh yeah, oh yeah. Because at the end of yesterday we had uh, a cluster meeting with a few of our GMs here at the property, and it was about 30 people in the room. And this morning I told the team I felt like a proud pop.
Mm.
You understand? I the, it's how they were just working like clockwork, making everything look, and in a nutshell, making me look good
Oh, all those general managers were there at your property.
Yeah.
at my property.
Ah, wow. Oh, that's really great, man. Well, what
You
a
understand?
wonderful thing to experience. Yeah.
And it was my first time experiencing that. But just to watch my team,
Mm.
it's almost like we love sports, but you know when a team quit on a manager, right?
Yeah. Yeah, that's true.
You know when
Yeah.
a team quit on a manager, and you know when a team step up for a manager.
Yeah.
I want to say it too loud, but my door is closed. Yeah. Look at Andy Reid. All right.
Yeah.
You gotta say it too loud. Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
right. So,
Yep.
and I watched them and I watch everybody how they operated and everything like that. And I went home last night and I said, boy, I'm so happy to be a part of this.
Mm.
I am so happy to be a part of it because it's not easy coming into a place where you have so many people with a lot of tenure.
Yeah.
You know, imagine
Yeah.
over 40 people in this building that has over 25 years of service.
It's amazing.
Had to have a lot of good leaders prior to me, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It
Yeah.
speaks volumes.
And all
Yes.
those stories, they all got married somewhere. They all had kids. They all,
Oh,
made friends and interacted with each other and all that.
Yeah.
you gotta see the pictures when they pull out the pictures and how young everybody was and everything like that, and it melts your heart
Yeah.
because at the end of the day, they stood together. Now these are people, a lot of people who didn't have a job during the pandemic. Now
Yeah.
they had
That's right.
now they had a lot of choices, right?
Yeah.
Coming out, they came right back.
They came back.
That's huge. That's something that we're not tracking very well, Matt, to be honest, in our industry. We're not tracking that, meaning
Yeah.
like where did they go? And if they didn't come back to the industry, where are they? And would you like to come back? And yeah, it's tough. I think that we should do a better job at that. But
What's
Uh,
amazing about that though, if you just add one point in, John, you're talking about the people there, and I totally get that from a work culture perspective. You're so proud because you're around all these tenured people and everybody's there. They're passionate. They're doing good work and they want to stay. That's fantastic. Imagine the ripple effect, and I know both of you do this, but for me to think about it, of all the guests that go back there, all your repeat guests that go back there and see the same people for 25 years that
yep.
are taking care of the hotel and taking care of the guests. Talk about a familiarity, not only with the brand and the property, but with the people. That's amazing. Like that human connection there. It's like going back to the person who, cut your hair or whatever, that you see every 2 months or something like that. It's like you have this relationship. So I
Yep.
imagine that's even deeper than a repeat guest. When you have people that are that tenured at one property, when you get the repeat guests there, there's some relationships going on with the valet and the front desk people. Like people know each other a little bit,
But
right?
that's what the repeat guest is looking for. He or she is looking for a relationship
And that's hard
because
when the tap turns over.
you're now establishing likes and dislikes, right?
Mm-hmm.
You're now getting to know someone. You're now even celebrating their birthdays when you can.
Mm.
You know, listen. When I came to this country, in the person that impressed me more than anybody else was Bill Marriott.
Mm.
Listen,
Yeah.
I mean, take care of the associate will take care of the guest. Simple.
Yeah.
That's it.
Why are we trying to change it? You know,
No.
why are we trying to
Yeah.
why are we trying to change that simple formula?
Like you said, back to basics. That works. Keep it.
You know?
I think it's when we talk about the younger people or the people that are less experienced coming into the industry, and they interact with someone like John, or maybe they're one of the 30 managers that come visit your hotel, John. The impact is huge, and it doesn't cost as much as somebody might think. It doesn't cost anything to do what John said to do, which is just ask them how they're doing, right? And so, um, when they're right for the role, and the person is doing that for the guests, everything seemingly falls into line. And it is a process, and it's a patient process. And I'm really glad that John came on here today. So, John, I asked you just yesterday. I get 24-hour notice. I said, hey, we're going to be talking about training and budgets and culture and things like that. And so we can finish up here. I just want to say thanks to John St. Omer,
Thank you, John.
hospitality, hotelier, and amazing person overall. So thanks for spending the time with us, John, because what you're talking about, okay, so we say millions of fans, right? We might have a little bit less than that. But this is on a continuous loop, okay? This is on a continuous loop on YouTube, continuous loop on LinkedIn and on Facebook. And so I would encourage anybody that's listening. Also, thank you to Michael White, Bruce Jordan for making your comments here. I know John Cardonia texted me saying hello also, and he just couldn't join and make a comment. So anyone that gets a link to this, right, do a little clip, send it over and say, hey, look at John St. Omer. All it takes is this. Thanks, Mike. You have to run. No, I have to run. I need the exercise. But please, that's what it's all about. This attitude of inspiring others that this just the business of hotels and the business of hospitality is a little bit easier than what might think, and it's very lucrative, and you can grow rapidly. Hey, Mark Alvarez, good to see you, man. One of our good friends. John is obviously an amazing GM and leader. Proud to have him represent our industry. Yeah, very proud to have John representing our industry. Thanks for
Thank
making
you.
that comment. Hey, we got to share the love. Ask people how they're doing. It is the basics, and just what Mark said. We're the industry is proud and honored for John St. Omer and these experiences that guests. I hope that we brought it to the field level where we talk about the impact of the interaction between people at the property level, and those are the real service leaders. Those are the real people, and I'll leave it at that. And thank you, Matt. Thank you, John. Thank you, everybody, for joining. Any last words of loving advice there, Mr. St. Omer?
Okay. Go Big Blue.
Okay. I don't want to alienate any of our millions of fans.
It's okay.
I'll let them assume who the blue is.
Tonight is football.
That's right. Yeah. Yep.
Tonight is football. Okay. I want to thank each and every one for joining us, and thank you guys for having me. And the passion is there, always will be, because I enjoy having people smiling. And if you're the person that will enjoy watching other people enjoy themselves, this is the business for you.
Ooh, we're going to leave it at that.
Yep.
That's a nice
Love
one.
it. Love it.
Always good for a soundbite. Thank you, John. Thank you, Matt. And thank you, everybody. We'll see you next time. We'll see you next week. Love you all.
Time.
All right. Bye.
Bye-bye.